With Dominaria United only a couple of weeks away, players are taking advantage of the bargain basement prices in the market to snatch up all of these cards. And if these are cards you have, you're gonna want to hold on tight. Smart shoppers always wait for a bargain. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thanks a lot for hanging out with me on the channel today. With all the sets we've had this year and the speed and acceleration of which these sets come out, it's no surprise that cards get left behind. They get forgotten, people move on a little bit too quickly, and then they realize they forgot a card or a series of cards they wanted, and they've got to go back and buy it. Now, often this year, cards have been at a bargain. They've been cheaper than I've seen in a long time. Certain cards will stay up a little bit higher, but a lot of them that are mid-range nice cards should be like 15, 20 bucks, are going for like $8, $9. That's a deal. But there's always a but, right? People start to notice that. The closer you get to a new set that may connect cards together, you see those people, those investors and flippers out there coming in and snagging up cards. And they buy them not by ones and twos and fours. They buy them by 50s, 60s, and 70s. They corner section the market, special locally. They'll take little sections out, and then they sell it back at a higher price to the buy list and work their way up the chain, usually to get some high-end power cards or move on to other product cards they're hoping to get in the future. It's very interesting to see it happen firsthand. It's my fourth or fifth time seeing deals and things like this happen and go around, and I find it fascinating that players haven't always caught on. Now, if you have these cards, you're probably going to see an upswing in some of the prices that I'm going to show you today. They may be a little bit flat now, but the future of these cards is looking pretty bright based on what we have coming up. Some of these cards actually might fall a little bit further. Can't wait to tell you about it. We can hold those cards and just make sure they go up a little bit later on just by keeping them in our complete, collections and not selling them off cheap. Don't give away good value just because the price is low. You don't have to accept that. You can hold on tight and see where the card goes because you opened it in a pack. Who cares at that point? I mean, really, after you own the card and it's in your collection, you can always just ride it out to see what happens. And trust me, some of the cards on this list are going to be in for a great ride long run. Let's find out what they are. Here we go with a Commander card that every white deck loves to have already, and that's the Archivist Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. This card was like 30, 40 bucks. It's been drifting down much to everyone's delight because everyone likes to have a great card like this in their deck, and not everyone wants to pay the highest price, but people are starting to get into this card. They're starting to buy it and sideline it, so you can expect to see this card's price actually start to rise probably in the next 60 to 90 days. It's not enough to make the market spike because there's so many copies out there, but there are people buying 10, 15, 20 copies at a time, and that tells me people are trying to get positions inside that card. Now, remember, it has flash, guys. Whenever an opponent searches their library, you gain a life and draw a card. Like, you see where I'm going with this? You don't have to pay anything to do it. It's just a static ability. It's amazing in Commander, and that's what makes this card so valuable. Plus, it's a halfling. We love halflings. You look at that card and say, yes. And remember, for future use, this kind of card will have a very long lifespan. Wizards is unlikely to replicate a card like this right off the bat. It takes years for cards like this to come back around, which means the future value of this card is looking very bright indeed. Way to go, Archivist. Now, the Ancient Silver Dragon Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. Locally, I think this card's like 35 bucks Canadian. You can see the average price there is $26 roughly US. Overseas, it's 19 euro, give or take a few bucks. These dragons are hard to get. Doesn't matter what anyone tells you or how many you've seen opened and how quick it was. They are hard to get. There's not many in stock at any store I've checked, if any. But there are a couple of dragons on the list because some of these cards have more playability than others. Now, the Silver Dragon is 8 for an 8/8 with flying. But whenever Ancient Silver Dragon deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20, draw cards equal to that result. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. So I look at a card like this. It means even if it dies, you're going to have that maximum hand size because it says for the rest of the game. But not only that, there are ways of sneaking cards like this onto the battlefield. And, Commander is a casual format. And there's a lot of happy Commander players out there building dragon decks and having a good time. If you really think these dragons are going to stay this low, go ahead, sell your dragon, make a few bucks. But if you think your dragon's going to rebound because money's going to move on faster than what people will keep up with the set, and they're not really cracking more boxes of Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate, then holding on might just be the perfect thing for you to do. These cards, I can see them going back up to the $40 level US easily, okay? Keep an eye on this dragon. It's a fairly good dragon. Now our next card is going to be the Ancient Copper Dragon. This is the bad boy of comedy, the big guy, the chillin' villain. He's the one, okay? $60 US for this card. Holding strong, been desired, sold out most places I've checked. It's a 6/5 with flying, but again, look what it does, right? Whenever the Ancient Copper Dragon deals combat damage, roll a d20, you get that many treasure tokens. It's a 6 casting cost, 6/5. You got Hivas of the Scale. You got ways of sneaking this guy onto the battlefield, sneak attack and all those crazy cards. You can have a lot of fun with the Ancient Copper Dragon, with any of the dragons from this set, actually. Now, the gold dragon's not on the set today, the white one, but again, all those kind of mini fairy dragon armies you can build, all of the dragons, they matter. Okay, they may not all be the most expensive cards, and not all of them are here today because of what's happening in the secondary market. Maybe they're being left alone, nothing's really happening. But this one, it's going to go higher. I can see this card actually reaching up to the $100 level, which is scary, I know. But Wizards may be planning this. This may have been something they expected with these dragons going forward, knowing how they're connecting treasure tokens and card drawing abilities. Like, they like to connect these things in like a little connect the dot game. It happens. Now, Damnation is our next card, particularly the borderless version, which is why it's up here today. When you look at this card, you see the prices. I was surprised to see how many copies are still selling. I am sure this will make the top 10 yet again for Saturday's video. Okay, you're watching this on Friday because I'm mentioning it as a card to watch because the sheer volume of copies selling and the fact that price is kind of bottomed and leveled out means people are trying to get cornerstones in this copy. A lot of people really enjoy this particular artwork of the card compared to just like the black kind of moon sun thing happening. This is the one people go after. They're buying it in droves, and it's not like you're just getting a copy or two. That's what gets me. If I see 40 copies selling at once, it makes me take notice and mention it to you guys because, again, after we have the new sets coming out, you're going to see a lot less Double Masters 2022 being opened. Money moves on, products get moved on, and then the market starts absorbing what's already out there. It's something to pay attention to in the financial side of Magic the Gathering. If it's a card you want, just spend the $20 and get it over with. If you don't care about it, you already own one, and you're kind of vanilla on it, then don't worry about it, skip it and move on. All right, Jin Taxis, the Progress Tyrant. I know why this is being bought. I understand why people are picking up copies. We got Dominaria United coming up. People are starting to get all super excited about how these cards are going to connect, and we still have the Brothers War. But remember, a card like this is just crazy. It counters people's abilities. It copies abilities. It is not supposed to be $10. Okay? It's not. Market's $8.99. It's like a $12 card here in Canada. This card, I expect it to rebound. If it doesn't, great. Then people can pick it up really cheap and use it. But it's a Mythic. It's Kamigawa. I can see it going back up. I can see the amount of people buying it on the secondary market. And it's another card that I'm pretty sure, we'll see how it pans out in the next 24 hours, but it's on track to make the top 10 on the lower side of things. But you can check that out in my top 10 videos. And remember, guys, if you're picking up any of these cards, if you decide to buy them, please remember to use my TCG affiliate link. It's found in the description of all my videos. You'll just see a little link there. You press the button. It'll take you right to TCG Player. But now it's got the Moxman little hashtag thing there, which allows TCG to know I sent you there, and I get a few bucks for the channel. So I'd really appreciate it. And it's free to do, so it's awesome. Now, our next card, Hall of Storm Giants. There's been a rebound a little bit on this card. It's just starting to trend up a little bit. The sales are a little bit higher. I don't expect it to be too crazy high. But it's enough that I've taken notice of it and said, why did 50 copies move here and 15 copies and 20 copies? When it's this cheap and it's got Ward, it's got some powers people will like, it's going to find a home in Commander for a very long time as a land you can always have around and use. And it's not legendary. So you can have extra copies for other fun decks you're playing in other casual formats. I can see why people are still picking this card up. It's not the Amperstamp version, which is the really super hard to get one with the little Dungeons & Dragons logo. Those are very expensive. I've looked into it. But even this card for literally $2. Are you serious? $2? Look what this thing does. Right? Becoming a giant 7/7 thing with Ward 3 is kind of crazy. So keep that stuff in mind. It's a great late game kind of keep you around and bash people. But at the last minute, it's also a great defender to have around. I can't see it staying at the $2 level. It's going to rebound at some point soon. Now, our next card is Bozaju Who Endures, okay? This card has actually held and stayed fairly static. But remember what cards like this do. When you have a market not opening new packs of Kamigawa, people are absorbing what's out there. New products coming along at an increased speed, accelerated cycles, means the money moves on and people open less product. They don't get to enjoy it as long. So a card like Bozuju Who Endures, right, where it says, hey, let's destroy target artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land and opponent controls, that's kind of crazy. As a show-stopping card, yeah, it's legendary, but you can right now my my arena decks, I've got 4 in there, and I just blast people and then use the lands and blast them, whatever it takes. It's an extra card I can keep around, and it's so inexpensive still. This card will probably reach well into the $30 level. I have no idea why it's this cheap, but at $30-40, it's not a bad deal. I remember thinking this card was going to get banned, but apparently that has not happened, and Wizards isn't going to do anything about it. So why not enjoy it? Use it while you can. It hasn't become too disruptive from what I've seen, and I'm actually surprised I don't see it as much right now. But we all know it's going to be an auto-include in any green commander deck, so keep that in mind for the future. If you don't own a copy, this might be the time. It's trending fairly flat, but the sales volume tells me people are collecting up copies and holding them long term. All right, now here we have one that I'm going to say don't buy, and that is going to be Mox Amber Dominaria 2018. I've noticed an uptick in sales, but the price is falling. We don't know if this is going to be included as a list card, if it's going to get a reprint anytime. Wait until Dominaria United comes out. Just wait till the second's released. Wait till the spoilers get put out there, till we see the list cards and we see how they put it together. If this doesn't come back around, the price will go back up, but you'll have a window before it goes back up to buy this card. I know a lot of players enjoy having it now, and I understand it's still kind of a semi-expensive card. If it doesn't get reprinted, yes, it's going to go up because there's only so many to go around. But right now, I think you can afford to wait. Don't just jump in thinking, this is the time. It won't spike that much if it doesn't get reprinted, okay? It's going to be around for a bit. Price isn't going to fluctuate too much, so just keep that in mind, okay? I just don't think there's a real rush to go out there and grab this legendary bad boy, even though I love it. It's one of my favorite Moxes. I love the artwork. I mean, Steve's like a genius. But I like to keep this stuff here and just say, okay, it's going to be okay. It's not going to spike. Now, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. This one here, I remember buying for like $60-70, I think, at the time when we had it, because I didn't get it in a pack. I had to buy it on the secondary market. I didn't get it in my booster boxes. When I look at Teferi, he is worth the money, but again, there's so many people picking up copies right now, and he could be the reprint Planeswalker coming back again in Dominaria United. You can wait for him. He could be value that they're adding to the set, but I think you can afford to wait. I don't see the rush to get this guy. He's, $45 Canadian. He's still held some good value. He's $35 US on average. The market's like $33. I think you can wait. I don't think you have to jump into the FOMO and say, I got to get him now. 30 days is not going to matter either here nor there. And if he does get a full reprint, the price is going to tank down. It's going to go lower. You can save a few bucks. He'll drop down to the $20, $25 level if he gets a full reprint, maybe even lower. So keep an eye on that stuff. Don't go insane jumping on cards like this. Save your money. Save your firepower for other things. Save those shekels. All right, Karn, Scion of Urza from Dominaria. Again, another Planeswalker that could get reprinted, but I've always thought he's kind of cheap already. I don't think Wizards is reprinting this version of Karn. They may reprint Teferi, because, Hero of Dominaria is probably going to do something epic in the storyline to save them. It makes more sense to me. Where Karn, the Scion of Urza, I think they'll give us a different version of Karn. And I look at this one and say, $9 is pretty inexpensive already. He is not a very expensive card to buy. I don't see Wizards of the Coast wanting to tank this price. So the people buying this card right now, it makes sense why they're buying it. There may be an uptick in this card coming around to Brothers War. If we have Brothers War circling around, then maybe this card is the one they're reprinting because he affects artifacts. I still doubt it. But his value could be going up and people could be hoarding copies of this card because of the fact that the Brothers War is coming. And when the Brothers War comes, when it actually comes our way, there might be cool artifacts that fit with Karn and go into commander decks and make more sense. But it'll either be Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, because that value is kind of higher. Wizards may want like an ace up their sleeve to add some value to the set. But it could be Karn because they're going to lead some artifacts in Dominaria and lead us over to the Brothers War later in the year. So it could be either or. I just don't see him wanting to crash out Karn's price right now, make it like a $2 card. Doesn't make sense to me. Bringing Teferi down to $20 does. So it'll be interesting to see. But these are some cards people should be holding on to if they have them, just to see what happens with the card. The future on some of these cards looks very bright indeed. And I thank you all for tuning in and hanging out with me today in the channel. Don't forget to put comments down that comment section. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of the cards that could be going up in value in the upcoming sets. I'm looking forward to reading them. It's going to be a great time in Magic. Thanks for hanging out. Hey guys, a big shout out to all the patrons on the channel. Remember, without these patrons, I would not be able to make the videos I make each and every day because they help pay for everything. Thanks a lot, guys. Patrons rock!